So, Matt Reeves' The Batman is finally out in theaters this week. It is one of the most highly anticipated movies of the year and has been shaping up to be possibly the best Batman movie ever made. But does the movie live up to the hype? Well, we're gonna find out. So let's get into it. Hello friends and welcome back to the Brockopp side, and before we dive into it, let me just say at the front, this is going to be a non-spoiler review, so please do not post any spoilers in the comments down below. There will be a separate video for that, but if you did see the movie, go ahead and comment down below what you thought about it. Did you like it? Did you dislike it? Let's just compare our thoughts. Anyway, let's get going. So right off the bat, Robert Pattinson absolutely kills it as Batman. When he was first cast back in 2019, I had faith from the very beginning that he was going to pull it off because he has really proven himself over the years to be a really strong actor, whether you're talking about Good Time, The Lighthouse, High Life. You know, he brings this intensity and this unhinged anger to the role because he's just a year two Batman, so he hasn't quite figured out how to reel himself in just a little bit, and at this point he is purely a symbol of fear amongst the criminals. And the movie establishes that from the very beginning, showing all these different criminals robbing convenience stores, vandalizing property and things like that. But then once the bat signal lights up in the sky, they start to get a little nervous and reckless and checking every single shadow in the area because they don't know if Batman's gonna pop out or not. And you can really feel how imposing this Batman is just by the echo of his footsteps as he emerges from the shadows. You know, sound design plays a crucial element in this movie, and just that little detail of making Batman's boots just sound really threatening goes a long way. And he can also emote through the cowl way more than I think other previous Batman incarnations have done, which is important because he is Batman for the vast majority of this movie. There's barely any Bruce Wayne in it. He's just in the suit as much as humanly possible, which shows that Bruce still needs to find that balance between Batman and Bruce Wayne, so we're gonna probably see that evolve in future movies. But also, wow, Batman is in a Batman movie for more than 20 goddamn minutes. Wow! Then of course you've got Zoe Kravitz as Selena Kyle, who visually speaking is pulled straight from Batman Year One, but she is a total badass in this movie, but also isn't afraid to show, you know, the more vulnerable sides of Selena Kyle, you know, living on the streets, struggling to survive, getting roped up in Gotham's underbelly, and you get to learn more and more about her backstory as the movie progresses, and we see her work with Batman kind of reluctantly at first, but you know, of course they start to get the feels for each other, and she tries to help him figure out what's going on with Riddler, but you know, of course she is basically in it for herself, which is very much a Catwoman thing to do, and her chemistry with Robert Pattinson was spot on. I loved seeing their relationship evolve, and I just hope we get to see more of that in future movies. Then you've got Jeffrey Wright as Jim Gordon, who is actually right by Batman's side solving this case. It's not just them reporting to each other on a rooftop, you actually get to see them side by side walking through crime scenes, collecting clues, and it just really shows how much Gordon really trusts Batman to the point where he doesn't even bat an eye when Batman goes chasing down the Penguin in his giant monstrous race car Batmobile, which by the way, the Batmobile is absolutely incredible in this movie. From a sound design perspective, it totally rattled the IMAX theater I was in, you know, and it sounds like a Batmobile, but it also sounds like a custom built race car or a drift car, which if you've ever driven or ridden in one of those, you know what I'm talking about. You know, Colin Farrell does an excellent job as Oswald Cobblepot, aka the Penguin, who takes every chance he gets to look like the big man in the crime world, but then, you know, Batman's gotta come in and humble his ass a little bit. I can't wait to see more of this Penguin evolve into the big-time crime lord that we know he's going to become, like from the comics or the Arkham games, because Colin Farrell just absolutely kills it. And then we get to Paul Dano as the Riddler, aka Edward Nashton, who takes the character to a whole new level, taking obvious inspiration from the Zodiac Killer hiding behind a mask and not being gentle with his attacks, and then the mystery of John Doe from Seven, where you don't really see a lot of his attacks, and then when you take away the mask, he truly gets to shine in a more villainous and terrifying way. Paul Dano strikes the right balance between like the smart, methodical side of Riddler, you know, with these elaborate traps and these riddles and things like that, but isn't afraid to lean into the flamboyancy and overall showmanship that the Riddler has, you know, when he's broadcasting his riddles and his victims to the public, being like, haha, you gotta solve these riddles, Batman, or these people are gonna die, and then really drives it home with how unhinged and crazy Riddler actually is, especially when just the slightest thing doesn't go according to plan. You know, it's kind of like in the Arkham games when Batman just kind of says something that questions his brilliance, and then he gets all defensive like, no, I am a genius, I am better than you, Batman, this is how it's supposed to go! Like that sort of thing, but cranked up to 11. It's terrifying. Not to mention this movie is visually incredible with Greg Fraser's excellent cinematography where every single shot just feels so meticulously lit and planned out so everything just has its own place in the frame. Combine that with the incredibly dirty and, well, gothic looking Gotham City, it looks like it's pulled straight from the pages of a Batman book, which I think is the best way to describe the movie as a whole. A lot of people are going to say this movie feels like a Batman comic book come to life, but I slightly disagree with that. I would say this is more like a Batman graphic novel come to life. It is nearly 3 hours long, but it spends time showing Batman trying to figure out the riddles and the mystery of it all, which gives us plenty of time to see the world's greatest detective side of Batman, where he's going through crime scenes, picking up on small details that everyone else is missing. And the movie does not shy away from action either. There are quite a few action scenes in this movie, and Batman, of course, kicks all kinds of ass, and the fight scenes are just like the movie, gritty and visceral. Batman gives tons of brutal beatings, but he also takes quite of a beating himself too, to the point where any other human being would be like, nope, I'm done, I'm dead. But of course, he's Batman, so he gets up, he doesn't quit, and he keeps going. One of Batman's best qualities. Oh, and this Batman does not kill at all. Not once. So, anybody afraid of that? There you go. You get a little bit of Frank Miller's Batman Year 1 in there, you get a bit of Darwin Cook's Batman Ego, and obviously plenty of the Long Halloween to go around, which is actually kind of funny because I am almost positive there's a jack-o'-lantern towards the beginning of the movie that looks exactly like the jack-o'-lantern from the book, and there are so many other little details from the Batman comics that, Matt Reeves didn't need to bring in there, but the fact that he did just makes it even better, like how Batman writes in a journal in cursive, which is how his inner monologue is shown in the books. Just little stuff like that just enhances the movie that much more. I think my only real gripe with the movie is that I wish we could have gotten more of Bruce and Alfred's relationship, because Andy Serkis does a great job as Alfred, but the problem is he's not really in the movie much. What we do get of Andy Serkis as Alfred in this movie is really well done, and there's one really nice, touching, sentimental moment with them towards the end when things start to ramp up, but I just want to see more of that fleshed out in the future. So the big question on everybody's mind is going to be, is this the greatest Batman movie ever made? Well, it just came out this week, so I feel like it's really too soon to say, but I mean, it's in the top 3 at the very least. Hell, probably even top 2. Overall, I'm going to give The Batman a gold unboxing machete. So, those are my thoughts on The Batman. If you want to see some more movie reviews from me, you can check out this playlist right over here. Or if you want to see what YouTube recommends you watch me next, you can check out that video right down there. And of course, subscribe if you live, talk, and buy movies. And we'll see you on the Brockopp side.